So what percentage of patients enroll in clinical trials in pancreas cancer? So I'll speak maybe broadly for a second and then more specifically. So broadly, we have some data on this from the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, who did a very nice survey of the country in 2011 to get a sense of what proportion of patients were enrolled on therapeutic trials, and it was about 4% of people with pancreas cancer, right? So that's a low number. About 2% is the quoted statistic for all adult solid tumors. So we smile a little to say we're doing slightly better, but at the same time pause because clearly it's a tiny fraction of patients. And there are many challenges to that, not least of all that a lot of times these patients are sick and have multiple active complications related to their disease that may preclude them being eligible. But at the same time, I think one is really hoping to increase this number significantly over the coming few years. So at our institution, about 40 to 50% of people would go on some form of clinical trial. So that would include a therapeutic trial, it would include a biospecimen study, it would include a supportive care or communication study pertaining to pancreas cancer. So you have to think of trials in the broadest sense. And the way we sort of encourage patients and families is that, you know, this is a key mission to improve outcomes for people with this disease. And every person can contribute in some way. And so maybe it isn't in the context of a therapy, but it may well be in terms of, you know, epidemiologic or lifestyle information, looking at risk factors. It may be in the context of a biorepository specimen, providing a little of their tumor or their circulating tumor cells or their cell-free DNA. So there's a lot to be learned, and you know, increasingly, I think these resources will provide a lot of opportunity to really mine deeply at, you know, subsets of patients with this disease. So there are many challenges to clinical trial enrollment, and yes, indeed, a big fraction in pancreas cancer is patients not being well enough. Oftentimes, though, it is access issues that people live, you know, at a distance from an academic or a community-based site that's enrolling patients on trials. Part of it is awareness, and I think that's a big educational need to patients and families and to the community at large, that the way we make progress is by having people on clinical trials, so we learn what works and equally importantly what doesn't work. And so that is part of it. And I think there's still, you know, a little bit of misunderstanding about what trials are about. And you know, some people really want to take an approach that's been tried and trusted, and others have innovation in their spirit, and the idea of something novel based on good science is appealing. And but a lot of times for this disease, performance status can begin to deteriorate, sometimes quite quickly. Laboratory issues can preclude eligibility. Liver blood tests are up a little, and or people have thrombosis that can preclude certain trials. So there are a number of barriers. And the Pancreas Cancer Action Network, to go back to the discussion about the frequency of patients on trials, also did a nice analysis of matching the number of trials to the patient population available, and suggested that there actually is quite a bit of a mismatch. So there are more trials for certain subsets of people with pancreas cancer than there are patients. So all of these contribute to the challenges. And I think our cooperative group network is in flux, and that, you know, used to be an avenue for major practice-changing trials. And to our shame, in pancreas cancer, we have, you know, very few advanced disease studies in the cooperative group setting at this time.